It's me, Zenobia Darling. You're listening to hashtag Rockstar Life, the Coffee Break podcast. Let's go. Where the hell's my cold brew at?
Ooh, what's up, guys? Oh, wait, am I live? There we go. What's up, guys? It's me, Zenobia Darling. I am here today in Baltimore. I beamed down in probably the fabulous city in the world, Charm City, with Cathy Till, curator of the hottest place in town.
Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. Tired, but good.
I'm good. I have to tell you, we've been having, like, I don't know, I feel like fun. We've having a lot of fun. We're having a lot of whiplash. This is the week after the show opened last week. We're both tired. We both look like squeegee kids because we...
I'm a little high.
Me too.
Just
well, this is a coffee break, so what are you drinking?
Yeah. Gatorade Zero.
Excellent.
Yes.
I had a cold brew from Dunkin', but I chugged in traffic because traffic's a fucking nightmare now, so...
Get used to it.
I know, get used to it. I miss it.
It's the next 4 years of our lives.
Is that when they said that the bridge is going to be rebuilt?
I would assume they haven't even removed the debris.
Well, I heard
they just found another body.
Oh, God. Well, I know the ship's still there. I saw that the other day.
Yeah, so we got a while.
Oh, I missed that bridge.
I loved it. I thought it was really
did
pretty.
Too. And it was nice to go on like a sunset drive. And like when I'm working in Catonsville, a lot of times I would take when I would have to come back to Essex, I would just take the Key Bridge because it's easier.
More people used it than what I thought used it.
And it's a gorgeous drive.
I know, and now it sucks.
I know.
Although I did see a rainbow yesterday.
Oh, that's not bad. Oh, I saw that on Facebook.
Yes, it was a little teeny weeny thing, but...
Oh, I love a good rainbow. I do love it. Okay, so let's get into some backstory because you just curated a sick-ass art exhibit.
Thank you.
That I'm a part of it. I did the install and whatnot. And I also helped you with a lot of it. We have a lot of stories to cover. So the hottest place in town, the life of Fannie Belle Fleming. Blaze Starr was a burlesque icon and queen in Baltimore.
Yes, she was. Still is,
She still is. Yes. I knew about her and like, she's very big in like the drag community. But like the more I got into this with you, the more I was like, we would be good friends. Like me and Blaze would totally, we would connect being nightlife dancers. And I could just tell that we would talk about men and we have the same fashion sense.
I fell in love with her, which is the worst thing you can do as a researcher. You really can. I mean, I didn't start out. And when I first made contact with her family, the first thing I said is, look, I'm not doing this to find dirt on her. She had terrible taste in men. So did I. So
do I.
Right. Don't we all? But her story is not, I guess, unique coming from that time period in West Virginia. Coal miner's daughter, literally dirt poor. 11 siblings. They did have a little baby that died. He was just a couple months old. But she left home at 14. 14!
To D.C. and became a dancer.
Right. I mean, I was still kind of playing with Barbie dolls at 14.
Yeah.
That kind. And Miss Blaze had a head on her because there's a lot of things that happened to her that she should not have walked away. Yeah. And she walked away.
Yeah.
So she was very intelligent. She was street savvy. But she was still, you could always see that little West Virginia girl in her. It never left.
It never left.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. Because it just, and meeting her family also, I was like, okay, they're still down to earth. And she never lost that quality, which I think is a true testament to like a star power. It's like, she still stayed grounded to her roots. She still stayed true to who she is. And she just was freaking fabulous.
I think when you see Gail, her personality, I mean, she looks a little... There's a resemblance through the whole family. Mm-hmm. But when you see Gail, to me, that's Blaze's heart.
Yes.
It's just, I think Gail's she's very shy. She's very, humble. I'm good.
I love Gail. And I have to say, I was going through the pictures and when she was posing with you, she got her Coach bag out and she's posing with it.
With it up. I saw
and
it.
I was like, girl, that is my people right there.
She drives a Lincoln.
Oh.
In West Virginia.
I love it.
It's like this, the thing that I don't understand, and I don't, and I have to come to some kind of terms with it because I have to actually write about it. How do you leave at 14 I was there. It's nothing there.
Yeah.
It is still nothing.
Now,
there.
what is the town called?
Well, she's really where she was is New Ground Hollow.
Okay.
12 Pole Creek.
Oh, God.
Which is right outside of Wilsondale.
Okay.
And Wilsondale would be like, oh God, how would you describe it?
It's bumfuck nowhere. I mean,
Right.
West Virginia has a very big cryptid population, a very big paranormal hotspot, weirdness. I love it for that reason. I also like it because it's remote, so I've been out there and I know how small these towns are.
It was really little, and Crystal kept on saying, because we were relying on GPS, because there's one road in.
Oh, it doesn't work out there.
Well, we found that out. We got there okay,
and then learned that the hard way.
We stayed when it was dark, and for your listeners, I'm an old fucking lady who does not like driving in the dark.
I hear that.
So here it is. We're leaving Gales, and if you've seen one trailer on Cinder Block, you pretty much see them all. So we couldn't even find landmarks, and we're trying to figure out. And Crystal kept on saying, "You don't want to wind up in somebody's yard because everybody
they all got guns. There's some drug trafficking.
Right. There's crystal meth. There's all this stuff." So we go down this one road, and it winds up to be like it's a dead end, and I'm trying to back up in the dark with no GPA, no anything. So we turned around, and I'm like, all I kept on hearing is Deliverance banjo music playing in my head, like thinking something's going to happen.
You're like, the hills have eyes are coming to get me. Oh, my God.
What's going to happen? So then we go past, and there's this little whistle stop. I guess it was a bar, a little watering hole, and there was a policeman in front of there, and I pull up next to him. Now, we have Ohio plates, but I have this thick Baltimore accent, so I pull up, and I'm like, I guess you can tell we're not from here. I said, we're trying to get, and I told him the town and stuff, and he goes, well, you go down this a little ways, and there's a stop sign, and then you go up the hill, and there's a big community college. It's got a couple buildings.
Oh, my God. Well, we're here at CCBC with, I don't know, there's
5 campuses.
5 campuses. I think this campus alone has, 10 buildings?
At least, And up the hill to get GPA, up the hill was about 5 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my God. But how do you leave that at 14, go to Washington, D.C.? She was only there for a blink. But goes to Baltimore, then goes to Philadelphia, then goes to New Orleans, hobnobbing with the governor and Kennedy and all these hoity-toity people, go back to Baltimore, have a movie, so you're doing your Hollywood thing, and then go back there. That's where
I get it, though. I get it. I can get it because, I mean, I have the same trajectory where, I moved to D.C. when I was 19, up and left half degrees, and then I've kind of been jumping back and forth between here, there, and everywhere. And, I always find there's something about up and half degrees that's, a nice place to go back to. And, I don't have to be Zenobia. I can be Derek.
But you're close to civilization.
That's very true. I mean, I can be...
There's nothing.
Yes.
There is outside of that town, which you got to figure they didn't have Walmart. So it's kind of... You've got that kind of... They didn't have that.
Oh, yeah, no, this was years ago. There's nothing.
I mean, she was born in 1932, so we're looking at...
In the middle of the Depression, too.
Right.
Well,
before the war.
I mean, how many bedrooms did the house have?
1.
And they have, 6 kids?
11.
11 kids?
Now, the first house, only 6 of them, I think, were raised there. And then I haven't gotten the full story. I don't know whether it burned or they went, we need more room, and they moved it further down the street. And then something happened to that, and then Blaze had... Because her father died in 1968, I think, and then she had some house built for her mother, and that's the house she wound up dying in. And I guess the parents slept in the kitchen. I don't know. They must.
That's probably how they conceived the kids too.
In the kitchen.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's what made her humble though, because I found people that have really had to work for it and come from nothing and make it to a level like Blaze. They have a humbleness and a realness to them that a lot of people that just get it handed to don't have.
And she wasn't a Howard Stern stripper.
Yes.
She had a very good, stable, normal.
She was normal.
Yes, she was normal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I think a lot of...
Her grandfather had a still and was a big-time bootlegger, but, other than that...
I mean, it's just some alcohol.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Just a moonshine.
And her one grandfather was in his 50s, I think, and married her grandmother who was a teenager. and he supposedly had a bunch of other kids while they were married. So he was a philanderer, fiddler, and a snake milker.
Oh yeah. Now he was the one that has a picture where he's with like an actual like. Was he part of that like rattlesnake church?
No, he's not. Actually,
I'm fascinated by that.
I don't know about his religious persuasion, but her grandfather and her great grandfather on her mother's side liked to go to tent revivals because of the drinking and the carousing. But they were
the fun.
They weren't like Jesus people.
Okay, I get that. Where I feel like they have. You could definitely tell they're definitely like Christian and they're very big into that. But also you can see where there's like they can have both cards, and I like it when they're open minded. Like, hey, you can be a stripper and you can still love God. Like that's something that
her mother said I have to pray on it,
Yeah.
and she did. But Blaze supported the whole family.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was a long prayer.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Now her house is off Joppa Road, right? In Joppa Town? Or that was her house, right?
It was her house. Blaze had her older sister June came when she owned the bar in Baltimore, worked for her as a bartender. June's oldest son, Ernston, was the bar manager or the club manager. June ran the back bar that we saw.
Okay.
He kind of did, both. Gail worked as a cocktail waitress while her husband was in Vietnam, and then Faye and Debbie and Mary were dancers. It was only Gail, and then there's another sister that didn't dance, and that sister is actually like 68 or something
Okay.
like that. But yeah, Debbie, for whatever reason, has always relied on Blaze. So she lived at the house here. When Blaze dies, Debbie got the house, Debbie got the club. And then still in the house.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the club anymore.
Yeah. Well, we went to the club.
But I
We
think
went to
that
the
guy lied to us. I think
Who?
that's why he was ducking us.
Why?
Because I don't think he really owned the club. I think he lied to us. I think he's leasing it.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah. I haven't done the deep dive yet. But I guess you need to add context to that story.
Well,
so
let's get
people-
into it because
okay.
we actually went to the 2:00 Club back in March. Me and you, it was a beautiful Saturday, and we went down because you live in Fells Point. We went
was
out.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, we went walk. We got to see a lot of the St. Patrick's Day trash that comes
Freakos.
out. Oh my God, there were some people watching that day, and I loved it because we were in like some nice restaurant having a glass of Chardonnay, watching all the mess walk by.
The nutsiness that is Fells Point. Yeah.
But we went to the 2:00 Club, and that really is what inspired a lot of the exhibition, like a lot of the textures and the paint
Finishes,
stuff.
yes.
So that day, it was a mess because on the block. Just explain the block for people that don't know, because I do have a lot of listeners that aren't in Baltimore.
The block at one point in time used to be 5 blocks long. There was the Great Fire, I'm doing air quotes, in 2004 in Baltimore, and it pretty much destroyed most of Baltimore, and it did destroy that side of East Baltimore Street. And it used to be the main way in and out for farmers because a lot of the markets and stuff were there. Well, then after the Great Fire, it seemed like all the taverns and the burlesque houses and the markets started to like kind of form on East Baltimore Street. So it just, I don't know, affectionately started being called the block. And there used to be shooting galleries, hotels, cafes, strip clubs, bookstores, pawn shops, all kind of, just seedy, sleazy, but it was entertainment. Like you had famous comedians like Lenny Bruce went through.
Oh, I love
and
him.
Abbott and Costello.
Probably Joan Rivers too.
No, I don't think. I think Joan Rivers didn't really come out of vaudeville or burlesque.
That's true.
She was a comedian.
Because Joan Rivers is like my idol. So.
Well, I think had she have been a little younger, she probably would have.
No, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise
Yeah.
me because she's more of an actor, comedian.
Right.
And, yeah.
So it was this place that it got notoriety, and senators and presidents. I mean, everybody came through.
Well, there was a sense of like elegance and grace and class to it that I feel like has been lost because we were down there and I was like,
oh, it's horrible.
and I'm like, okay, like, and it's right next to the police station. It's an interesting cross section because it's like there's the police depot, There's there's power plant. When I think we were there was a concert going on, so you get all like the uppity white kids partying, and then like literally a block
it's
away.
only a block now.
It's like you get like it was kind of it's seedy and
it's horrible.
And there's a lot of like unhoused people, a lot of mental illness, drug addiction, stuff like that. But
and when you go at night,
it's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And when Blaze danced there was, I'm not saying it wasn't seedy because that form of entertainment going back
it's
to
going to
the
have
beginning,
a seediness to it.
It does.
Yeah.
And a lot of things came out of that graft, prostitution.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she came out of it untainted.
Yeah.
But the other club owners, and I mean, that could have been because she did things to protect herself.
Yeah.
And she was really kind of beloved in Baltimore.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
the
she's a celebrity. She's an icon.
yeah, so the police protected her. So it slowly dwindled down to where now it's only the 400 block, and there's the Gaiety, the 2 o'clock club, and then there's some.
Well, there was the Hustler Club, but it shut down.
Well, that's the Gaiety.
Okay.
Did it shut down?
I don't know. When we were there, the Hustler, the sign is.
It was also early.
That's
Sometimes they
true.
don't open till 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's just gross. But it was the first time that I had ever been in the 2 o'clock club. I've driven past it like as a kid a million times, and it was like a circus. When you're a kid and you hear live music and there's women smoking cigarettes and dressed up in
gorgeous furs
right.
and beaded gowns and
guys, barkers, come on, see the pretty ladies, air conditioning. I'm that old. There was not everything was air conditioning. So it was kind of like mesmerizing. It was just so cool. So this was the first time. So so that you kind of like acclimate yourself. The original sign is there. So it's like.
And I'm going to use that picture I took as the cover art for this. So you guys will see the sign. It is next to like some wing depot, but which is in the picture. But it's just like you get a sign.
But I think there was a hot dog place next to it before. So it's not like it.
Of course.
But the original, it's almost like when you walk in there, if you don't look up at the ceiling, you almost get the sense of exactly what it was like.
Yeah.
And I think that wallpaper and the chandelier, I think it goes back to 1934 when Saul Goodman first built it. I don't think
it's Black Python.
Right.
It's Black Python snakeskin. It's amazing.
I don't think she did much to it.
I think she maintained it, but I definitely think, but it definitely has that, like, it has her vibe. Like, going through her stuff and getting a sense of her style and whatnot, the club, like, all that stuff is her as well. Like, I can feel her energy in it.
Right. So
it does need some TLC, I will say.
The seats have seen better days.
Yeah.
But the gentleman presented himself as the owner, and he was a real normal guy.
Yeah.
And I really liked him, and he brought out this, for lack of a better term, a window.
Oh, a stained glass panel.
Right.
Yeah.
And it had like think of the iconic stripper picture,
like a mud
minus
flap
the pole.
girl. Like a mud flap girl.
Right, but it didn't have the pole.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful in it, and you could tell it was almost 100 years old.
Yeah.
You really could. And, I had to ask, and he said, yeah, I hear it too. I don't know what it is.
That?
But we hear something outside.
It might be a ghost. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit.
He had said that we could use it for the exhibit, and I found this perfect place. And then the asshole ducked me. He just ghosted me after that. He sent me
I even tried.
Right.
Nothing.
So and I think what it was is he presented himself, and then he didn't know how to get out of it because he really isn't the owner.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a double dive.
I think he might lease it, but I mean, I like that he wanted to keep it up to like the Blaze Starr level. He wants to bring it back, and he was talking about the elegance and whatnot, and there's like I remember my grandparents would go there in the 60s and 70s. My grandfather worked for a chemical company in Havre and would always entertain out of town clients coming in.
Oh, that was a place to go.
And they would always go to they had a Playboy Club. They would go to 2 o'clock club. What was in the Hustler Club before it was a Hustler Club?
It was the Gaiety.
That's it. Yeah. So they went to all those clubs.
That's the only really true historic building down there.
Yeah.
I mean, it has designation and anything.
Well, all the buildings are like Art Deco, and they're gorgeous. I mean, they need work, but they're gorgeous. And I remember,
I have a whole plan. If somebody in Baltimore would just talk to me, it could be so.
You hear that, Baltimore? Get in touch with Cathy.
Right. I got a whole plan for the block of someone. The block. The literal one block.
Yeah. But like I remember my grandmother being like at the Playboy Club, you would go to put a cigarette in your mouth, and here's a bunny with a lighter. And she was telling me this was back before she died. She told me that she went to the 2:00 club, and the girls' bathroom was actually in the dressing room.
Yes.
And she walked back there, and there was Blaze with like her tits out, being like, "Oh, come on, honey, bathroom's right there," and was just like being so warm and friendly. And my grandmother, like I remember her always saying that, and I think that's also a testament to like
I think she was, because
she would have been a cool chick.
I hear people say, "Oh, I had my bachelor." You know, when you tell people what you're doing, first they look at you kind of like, "Why are you doing that?" And my thing is, well, why not? You know.
Yeah.
But the other thing,
Again, I studied Vanderpump Rules and The Real Housewives, which
There
we'll
you
get
go.
into because that's going to be the whole second episode.
yeah.
But
All right, ad break. I gotta pay for all this damn coffee I'm drinking and tea I'm spilling. It's me, Zenobia Darling. So, as many of you know, I'm more than just a podcaster, stand-up comic, and drag queen. I'm also a very accomplished painter and photographer, and you can check it all out on ZenobiaDarlingCreative.com. I have an art blog on there sponsored by the Harford County Cultural Arts Board, and just all my paintings, photography. You get podcast stuff. I have an art film that premiered in September that you can buy on there too. So make sure you check it out. It supports me, supports the podcast. All right, so let's get back to the podcast.
But you got to do what you love, and you need to have context. Like this stuff has context, and there's an importance to it, and it's history.
yeah, and I can't tell you how many men have come up and go, "Oh, I had my bachelor party, and she came back," and I think she was just like,
She's a cool chick.
just really a nice woman. Yeah.
I love her.
She sold jewelry in a mall. For
I
God's
know,
sake.
and always did it in a wig and makeup, always looking fierce, always. And I remember when I told that to Gail at the opening, I was like, you know that she's like beloved in the gay community, and like especially us drag queens, like it's Divine and it's Blaze.
And what did she say?
She was like, "Oh my God, really?" Like I could tell. Like I don't think anyone ever like expressed that to her, and she was like, "That's amazing." Like she loved it.
I wanted her to be the queen. That
She
day.
was, yeah. And she was cool. She was very cool.
She is. She's really.
She was telling me about ghost hunting. Like she doesn't ghost hunt, but she's like telling me like.
Well, Crystal, her daughter.
Oh yeah,
does.
me and Crystal did talk about it. So
Yeah.
which I loved. We went to the Trans Allegheny. I've been there, not together, but at separate times. So we have stories from that place because that's a dark haunting.
Yeah, and she told me some of her stories
Yeah.
too. So I just sent her some sage in the mail.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good.
I sent Gail chocolate and Crystal sage.
And then I was talking to Crystal's boyfriend, and he was like, "Oh, I know people in Havre Grace," and I was like, "It's crazy how like
He was huge.
he wasn't bad looking though."
No, I didn't think he was bad looking. The last boyfriend, the one that got killed, was really handsome.
Yeah.
So that one almost killed her. Yeah, that was really bad. He got
How long ago was that?
like a year and a half ago.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, but he was
a
nice,
mess.
yeah.
She was a mess. He got hit by a teenage drunk driver.
Oh
And
God.
his kids were in the back, but they were okay. And he got, it was horrible.
Oh God. Ooh.
Yes, it was bad.
But that was, I don't know. It was, that whole night was fun. I'm exhausted.
It was fun. I was exhausted too. And there was at one point, I don't think it's hit me yet. You know, when I was talking to the lady last night, Nicole was there, and I said, you know when it's going to hit me? When we take it down.
Probably.
Yeah.
No, that's how I was with the Art of Drag. Like when I did the Art of Drag like last fall, it was up. There was so much prep that went into it. And I also was having like, I was premiering an art film and doing like a live Q&A with you know, as me, Zenobia. And so there was a lot of theatrics involved, and it did not hit me until like when I was taken down in November. I was like, oh, I just did that.
I'm almost thinking I should have I wouldn't ask Gail.
Let's
and
have a
all them
party.
Yeah, that's what I'm like thinking, like a very closed, private, doors locked party for just a couple people that really were super. Like, there's a lot of people that I need to thank for this. You know, you don't do this in a vacuum. But I was like thinking, you know, I think that I should do that because that's when I think it's going to hit me.
Yeah. We could, and hopefully it's extended past all summer. So
That would be great because I'm just so fucking tired.
I am too. Like that's how all weekend I'm like.
I know I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I couldn't move, and
because we had some drama. We're not going to get into the drama, but we had some
Yeah,
drama going into installing it, and then it was
like people came early. I hate labels. I would have tell any writer out there, you can have a job writing labels.
Because your labels, you were putting information. When I do labels, I just do title.
Yeah, because it's a different medium.
Yeah, that's why
so
I'm like, yours was more of a historical
history.
Art exhibition, whereas mine's like an art exhibition.
But I'm used to, as a history major, you take this little know-nothing thought and you keep on researching the hell out of it to where it builds up into a paper or a story or whatever. Those damn labels, you've got all the information.
It's a bitch.
And you've got to edit it down to 2 lines that make sense. I hated them.
Yeah.
But
because this was your first art exhibition, right?
it's my first and my last.
It's a lot of work, though. It is.
So much. Maybe if you have something at the Louvre or the Met and they've got this like...
Well, they have teams of people. It's not just...
No, it's not a team. For all your little listeners out there and all the little people that are going to school for your bachelor's or your master's or whatever, who raise your hands, because I've taken classes with you and go, when I grow up, I want to be a curator or I want to work in special collections. No, you don't.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
You have to love it. That's something that, like, I remember one of my stand-up mentors told me, like, when you get into stand-up, you need to love it, and that passion and your love for it is what's going to drive you through it.
Right.
I'm finding that I'm bringing that out with my art, because curation and all that shit, it's a lot of fucking work.
This was, thank God that I have, I think, a good energy for an elderly person. But
you're a goer. Like, you're like me. Like, you have energy, you do things, you get up and go.
If I stop, it's like I stop. But... And then, too, I had a vision. I've, lived with this for a while. And I used to be a faux finisher. So it was like I was all about the finishes. If we could have gone on. This exhibit would have never opened because it's the little things. We just kept on with the little things. But it was way more physical. If you want to curate in a small gallery or, because somehow or another this was going to get done. I didn't know how. But be prepared to paint, crawl on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Move
drill
boxes.
shit in the wall,
right,
hang,
right.
I always say, like, people are very shocked to know, like, how manly I can be when it comes to, like, building stuff and, like, using drills. And it's like, I have to be, like, I don't know. It's something always people are, they're like, oh, well, I don't see you using a power drill. And I'm like, well, I do in my job. Like,
well, I mean, there's 2 sides to everybody.
I'm Martha Stewart handy, I like to say.
Yes, there you go.
I love Martha.
You're the cupcake. Handyman, there you go.
Exactly.
Yes.
I can let's see, I can plow things and then I can drill things. So
there you go. Well, there were some things that neither of us could fix, but
no, that's very true.
Yeah, and then here it is. It's like 3:30. All this shit happened 2 days before.
Oh yeah, we won't get into that because I have it blocked out of my mind.
Right. Well, and then I had pre-ordered an Uber to pick Gail and David and all them up to bring them because I wanted them to come early. And
they didn't get there till 4:30.
Yeah, because the Uber never came, and it was like then people were coming at 3:30 and were not ready, and the labels when they came out, something happened between the time I sent them and the time I sent them to Nicole. They were hyphenating in these really weird ass places, so it was some people noticed, but it was like I was like at 4:00 I was stressed. I wanted to drink, and I stayed.
We found the liquor, and I told Nicole, I was like, I used to bartend, watch this, poured myself a glass of Merlot, Nicole a glass of Merlot, and I was like, I'm giving it to Cathy, even though she said she's not drinking. I'm like...
And I didn't. I put it on the side.
No, I noticed it, because after the speeches, when you went over and I saw you chug it...
Yes, then it was like, I wanted to get through because I had this whole... I don't like to read speeches. I like to be spontaneous. But you're spontaneous after you rehearsed it a million times in your head. Well, we had thought that... the president of CCBC's campuses was going to come. The rumor was. So I had this speech prepared, starting out thanking her. So when I got up there...
And I hate... no, I'm not... No shade against her. Because I've been around so many high-profile people where it's like, I hate the clout that these people automatically have. I'm like, this is not about you.
Well, I was surprised.
It's about you, you, Cathy.
Well, I was surprised when I heard she was coming, and then I wasn't surprised that she didn't show up. So it's kind of like a dual-edged sword.
Well, she's mainly in Essex, and that was at Catonsville. Or does she jump back and forth?
She's everywhere,
okay.
Trust me. But I had this in my head, so when I first got up there, it kind of threw me off. And then I was so tired, I could feel that I was starting to... I was going to cry, and then it was like, you pull yourself back. Well, then the first half of my acceptance speech, I forgot you and Nicole. It was like I just went into,
It's all good.
yeah. I'm so glad I remembered everything that I wanted to remember with David and Gail, and then I was done. I was glad that David was there. I'm glad that he enjoyed it. I'm glad that Gail was there because people were asking her questions and she could explain things far better than any label I could have ever done.
Totally.
Yeah, so I think everybody had a good time. They said we had 150 something.
I think we had more. We had a lot of people come through. It wouldn't surprise me. It was probably around there, yeah.
Yeah, well, Nicole said that she was responsible at first, and she clicked 90 people, and then it was. But I mean, you have to realize these kids have no connection to Blaze Starr. Not ever. Not even after this. There's no connection. But no, it was. We had a good time.
We did. Now, going into this exhibition, how long have you been working on it, getting all the artifacts? Because you brought up David. He's a super fan of Blaze. He had a personal relationship, but they would write back and forth. And a lot of the artifacts in the exhibition is his. And he was there, and he's a fun character.
He is a fun character. I got to go up to Buffalo. When you first start grad school, there's all this pressure.
Yeah.
What are you going to write about? What are you going to write about? I'm like, holy shit, what am I going to write about? And we were at this grad picnic, and they started talking about a guy who did the history of tattoos in Baltimore shops, and then another girl who did the Jewish delis on Lombard Street.
I love it.
So it was like that. All of a sudden, I went, okay, because I was always fascinated as a kid by the block. I'm like, I'm going to do the block. Well, that started September of 2021. So I've been doing this. It feels like 20 years. So then when I realized there's only one block of the block, I went, okay, let's just do the 3 clubs that are left and do a real deep DNA dive. And one of the girls that I've been out of school over 50 years now, but we were planning a big 50-year reunion. And with girls, if you get married, you can change your, a lot of women don't do that. I would advise keep your name as someone that's trying to get mine back. But seriously. But she did kind of like one of these reverse obituaries where she searched for the parents, and then you could see if the daughters got married because it would give their maiden name. So I went and I looked up Blaze Starr's obituary, the actual obituary, in Wilsondale, and it had her nephew, Ernston Spalding, as the spokesperson. Well, you can't get any stranger of a name or different of a name. So I went on Facebook, and I found an Ernston Spalding, and I reached out through Messenger, and lo and behold, they reached back out to me. And then I got to physically talk to him, and he says, oh, you want to talk to Blaze's sister, Gail. So Gail and I started talking in December of 21, and pretty much every Sunday we have a conversation with each other. Sometimes it's about Blaze, sometimes it's about nothing, everything. We don't get into politics. We have our understanding with the religion. She knows, my position. She prays for me. I'll take all the prayers, I don't pray back, but
that's how I'm like.
It's like, but she's just we will be friends for life. And then,
I love it. Yeah.
And then I had told her I wanted to do an exhibit with no conceptual idea how I was doing it. Well, it kind of became a real thing. Last April or May. Yeah. And because I had applied for a job in the gallery and it went very well, but I didn't get the job. But Nicole then said, did I go up?
No, there you are. Yeah.
We're going to give you the consolation prize. We're going to do an exhibit. I'm like, okay. So then when, I said to Gail, I'm going to come down. I want to get everything that you have. This was in October of 23. She goes, oh, I got to introduce you to this guy, David. I haven't known David that long. And he was very nervous, and he agreed to lend me everything. And when I say everything, you have no, out of the, let's just throw out a number. Let's say I have 1,000, well, I have almost 3,000 pairs of earrings. So let's say out of the 4,000 pieces of items that I have of Blaze Starr, 250 made the exhibit? So there's like a ton.
I mean, there's a lot that we didn't include just because there's a boatload like of stuff, photographs. Everything is autographed. Blaze Starr. I love the way she signs it. Like one was like lustfully yours,
And what was the other one?
with love and passion.
Yes.
Oh, in passion.
Yes. Yes.
I love it.
Out of all the pictures, and Miss Starr loved her boobs. And it wasn't intentional. There were only 9 boob pictures.
Yeah,
I like her clothes better.
I do too.
Yeah, she's very beautiful. So, somebody could come, and I really want somebody. I love Miss Starr. I'm very thankful that I'm getting a useless master's degree out of it, but
That you didn't pay for because
that I didn't pay for because it's free when you get old. But it is. That's a whole nother conversation. But I'm putting her to rest.
Yeah.
I want someone else to pick her up. And there's so much stuff that you could interpret the story however you want to interpret it.
Because I definitely like that we focused on Fanny Bell Fleming, like the woman behind it, and we really focused on okay, she was a stripper, she was a burlesque dancer. She also was a smart businesswoman. She was a celebrity, and she used her celebrity for good. And she was an influencer before influencing was a thing.
Right. She was really big into the veterans.
Yes.
Into the Boy Scouts.
Yes.
She was just a really genuine person who transcended what would be considered a sexually deviant.
Yeah. Oh, it still has that. I mean, I've experienced it. Just people think drag. People think I was a sex worker.
Well, Howard Stern. Thank him.
Exactly. It's like one of those things where I'm like, there's a difference between.
There are some girls, and boys. There are some people out there that I'm sure have had horrible childhoods, full of neglect and abuse.
Well, that's something about it where most sex workers have sexual trauma, and that's kind of. That's what brings you into it. I've experienced that just with many people I know, and it's something where there's also a difference between the Route 40 strip club in Dundalk compared to 2 o'clock club.
Right.
And
I don't know. The 2 o'clock club's pretty.
Well, I mean, I will say when we went in the dressing room that day, I remember the minute I was like, it smells like a bunch of drag queens. These girls know what they're doing. They're a little
maybe a little. He doesn't let them be nude.
Yes, they're a little bit elevated, and that's something that I like. Vegas is a really good you really just see that, especially in the movie Show. Have you seen Showgirls? It's you remember she's at the Cheetah Club, and then she's at there's not a lot of difference, but you can definitely see the higher level of it and the more professional, even though it's not.
Well, he showed us the video.
Yeah,
there were 3 girls dancing, and I don't even want to call it dancing. It was more
they were twerking,
like a pink, kind of Cirque du Soleil kind of thing.
Yes,
and there were 3 of them sharing the same pole. It was phenomenal
because they're holding themselves up with their there's a lot of intricate technicalities that come with pole dancing that I don't think people realize. It's not getting on a pole and just twirling around. Even though because when we were there that day, I had to get on stage.
Yes, he had to get up on stage and dance. But no, it was interesting, and like I said, I'm sure that there are some women and men that are in it because they had no other choice.
Yeah.
But Blaze had a choice, and that's she. I think she would have loved to have done the Gypsy Rose Lee thing and transcended into Hollywood and stuff.
You mean Gypsy Rose Blanchard?
Yes.
yes. Sorry, I was just watching something on her last night. I was like, girlfriend, I'm get out of the spotlight.
Wow, but it didn't happen. But she was always chasing the tail of Tempest Storm. If no one knows who Tempest was, she was a very beautiful, talented. None of these women. It was all acts.
Yeah,
they all had
their
their
drag.
own.
It's
stick.
their drag persona. Yeah, it's a drag show.
Yeah. But Gypsy Rose Lee, she became a movie star, and I think Blaze would have liked that. But
she had a Joan Crawford vibe to her. I mean, Gail even said to me, she was like, "Well, she never really left the house unless she was Blaze Starr," and I was like, "Well, Joan Crawford never left the house unless she was the movie star Joan Crawford. I don't like leaving the house unless I'm the drag superstar Zenobia Darling." So I understand that.
And this is why in her latter years, when she moved to West Virginia and she was on heart medicine, prednisone, which causes you to kind of blow up, she didn't want to see people. She first of all, she didn't think anybody would really be interested in the way that she looked then, and she didn't want people to see her like that. She had a status to keep up, and we don't. I mean, aging isn't pretty.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally.
And we're in a society that doesn't. But one of my favorite pictures is one. And I would venture to say she was in her late 60s.
Is that the one where she's like makeup free and she's
got her little hair in curlers and on vacation in Ocean City? Yeah, she's just
I love it.
Just like a normal housewife, like this woman just enjoying her vacation with her family, cold cream on her face. She's just cute.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah.
But so let's get back to, there are some weird synchronicities that went into curating this exhibition. There was that. There was me. Just how I got involved with it is still something I'm trying to wrap my head around.
I don't believe in coincidences.
I don't either.
And this was part also of my internship. You have to do an internship. And you have to do 3 blogs out of it. And I talk about there's no coincidences. Divine intervention. That's the only way that I can put it. Finding Gail, switching to it's almost like I was supposed to do this.
No, I 100% agree with that.
Right. And then knowing that I wanted to do it and no conceptual idea of how do you even broach the subject of doing an exhibit. You've got to have somebody that wants to do this with you. Then applying for at my age, I'm very happy that I have a job. I really am. But it was just for grins and giggles one day because I also work at CCBC. And
I'm sure you get to deal with a lot of the loveliness that is college students nowadays.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you for calling the registrar's office at CCBC. This is Cathy. How may I help you? No, I'm sorry. I can't do that over the phone. That's half of what I tell people. I'm sorry. We can't do this.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
Because I remember one day you were like, I just weep for humanity sometimes.
I do. I mean, there are just times when I just go, we are doomed. Why bother?
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. I had one of those days last week. I was like, what the hell?
I've been called Karen, sexually frustrated. One guy told me, he says, you sound like an old, frustrated 51-year-old woman. I'm like, thank you. You
like,
just added 20 years to my life, But what were we talking about?
The synchronicities of this show.
And so it was just for grins and giggles one day. I looked on the, help wanted on our CCBC page, and they had a job as for an installer. Thank God for unanswered prayers. Because this job I couldn't have. It's too physical. It is really a lot.
Because that's a job I got, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is, and it's too much. So I interviewed, and it was really a great interview. It really was. So I'm like, this is really good. And then, maybe about a week later, I get a message from an email from Nicole. It was very enjoyable meeting you. Blah 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 blah. But I'm sorry, we went with another candidate that did have more experience than me. She says, but we were so interested in your thesis topic of Blaze Starr, we'd like to offer you a chance to do an exhibit. I'm there. I almost peed myself. It's like...
Yeah. How does... It just happens.
It's like, had I not have applied for that job, which I thought about, do I really want to do this? I would have got it. And then Nicole and I were like, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking, okay, I got somebody that wants to do an exhibit, and I have no things to exhibit.
Yeah.
At that point, I had nothing. So I, Gail,
but it all started falling together, and that's something.
And then in December of 2023 that we just passed, Nicole touched base with me before we went on. They closed the school down, in December. And if you're part-time, you don't get paid.
Of course.
That sucks. But anyway, I digress. She said to me, we're gonna start in earnest after the first of the year. And she goes, and just matter of fact, by the way, I just hired a new gallery installer, and he's a professional drag queen. I'm like, holy fuck, you got to be kidding me. And I knew, and that's what I said in my blog, somewhere, I don't know where Miss Blaze Starr is.
She is totally aware of this exhibit.
She's laughing.
Because that's the thing about Baltimore that I think we've had many conversations about this. There is a drag campiness to a lot of Baltimore stuff. It's in John Waters movies.
He just was in an accident, by the way.
Oh, I know. I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
I think he's okay.
Yeah. Where was it at? Was it in Baltimore?
Yeah, last night.
Oof.
He just got out of the hospital this morning.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess he's not coming anytime soon.
Well, when he does, let me know when he does. So,
I don't think we're going to be there.
that's true. But there is a like a campiness to Baltimore that like is very hard
To describe
To
to other-
describe, you just have to experience it.
Mm-hmm.
But a Baltimore drag queen has it naturally. So there was stuff that we put into this exhibition that I'm like, Blaze would love and only like a drag queen would do. Like
Right.
the cheetah print platforms. It's like,
Yeah.
that's
We did that. I got one of these, like, I would not recommend doing this unless it's a very small thing. The same with the stencil. But I wanted to do this cheetah print because Miss Blaze just loved that.
She
on
loved her
prints.
cheetah, just like
she
me.
did. So I got one of these.
I'm in my cheetah print shorts right now.
I have my shoes.
That's
on.
true. You got cheetah
I
print
have
on
my
too.
Cheetah shoes. I got one of these like paint rollers, but it's got this little raised design on it. We put it on, and it's very difficult to try to control that, and it didn't look the way that I wanted it to look. So then Nicole got this like little stencil thing. It's like a stamper almost, and that.
But it was like a little like.
It was only like 8.5 by 11, and we're doing three stands that were 5 by 7, or I mean, these weren't like little stands; they were like big stands. And I didn't like it, and I was in there one Saturday, and I spilled paint. The best things come accident.
Well, there was a lot of paint spilling.
There was a lot of paint spilling, but I spilled it on this thing that I had just gotten finished stamping. So I took kind of like a wet towel and I dabbed it, and I liked the effect. And then I went, we need to, because it just didn't look right without the wash. So then we did that. Then I wanted to do a gold faux fit. Oh man, we just gaudied it all up. It doesn't look gaudy.
No, it doesn't. But that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like it sounds gaudy, but like
Gold paint.
there's something about like that drag camp quality that like we brought it into it, and it's something where it's like it's not gaudy, but then you're like, wait a minute, like
and we got black
snakeskin wallpaper.
and glamour pinup shots.
God,
and,
it's so you guys have got to
movies.
see it.
Yes,
you got to
gotta
see
come. We got 4.
it. We tracked down her sofa.
Oh, that was
From
like,
Angie Bottani, this like legendary burlesque dancer and stripper. Like,
you're not going to recognize the sofa because
it's
has
seen better days. It's
yeah.
seen better, and also you got to remember that was probably her main traveling trunk. So God knows how many TWA flights it's been jammed in the luggage rack.
Well, it's kind of. I thought it looked far more interesting deconstructed, but there is a guy, Luke. I've met so many cool people through this. There's this guy, Luke, who knew her back in the 70s or 80s.
Is there like a party happening? I'm like,
I don't know. I hear it too. But you realize this is pretty much the last week of school, so they're all,
that's very true.
happy.
I'm not just like, we're podcasting. Shut up.
Yeah, really. Quiet on the set. But Lou's supposed to touch base with me and kind of show us how it went together. But it's really cool. You could see an Eastern Airline tag. You can see pencil marks on it. This fur that covered it looks like Fred Flintstone.
I mean,
like,
it's a lot.
But when it came, it sat in the middle of the gallery, and we didn't want to open it. It was like you would have thought the Holy Grail was in there.
Yeah.
We're like, we walked past it, and I would be like,
are we opening it today?
yeah,
Are we opening it today?
I'm all a tingle. It would be like,
No, and then Nicole got sick, and then we're like, should we open it? We're like, no, she got to be here for this.
We got all 3 of us have to be here. And then we opened it, and it was like, what?
I know, because we couldn't figure it out. It was
like we had all these high hopes of this glamour
this
sofa,
is it? Like
looking like Marie Antoinette sofa, and it's this steamer trunk with this Fred Flintstone furry.
It's like red shag,
like bad shag.
Yeah, like it's
not good shag, bad shag that has been stored in a neo burlesque attic for 10. 15.
No, it wasn't her attic. It was her mom's attic in New Jersey, which is even better.
Yes.
No, but then it's like even with that, like Angie performed with Lady Gaga, like she's a queen, and it's stuff like that where I'm like, that's a weird synchronicity right there.
It's just too. It was like, I can't tell you how long I researched for that sofa. I thought it was like because Blaze gave a an interview where she said Ron Shelton, the director of the terrible movie Blaze.
Oh God, that's what we're gonna end it with that. But yeah, I got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, was if you have researched it the way I researched it, the movie jumps. It's so not.
The movie's horrible. It's not.
It was good for Lolita. It was horrible for Mr. Newman. But it just jumped around.
It was not good. It was not a good movie.
It was not a good movie. But she tells about how Ron wants to know where the sofa is, and she says, "Oh, it's in my." Because she was living in Baltimore. It's in my basement. They go and they get the sofa and they take it apart and they reconstruct it for the movie. And then somebody said, "Where is it?" And she even said, "I don't know." And I'm thinking Raiders of the Lost Ark. Mm-hmm. The movie sets Disney somewhere in some Disney warehouse is this sofa. Mm-hmm. So Nicole, God bless her,
Well, it was last time it was seen was when Angie performed with it at the Burlesque Hall of Fame in Vegas.
Right.
I have contacts in Vegas, and we were Googling it. I'm like, just reach out to that girl. Reach out to Angie, and we did. She got back within 10 minutes and was like, "Oh yeah, it's in my
right.
attic."
I emailed the Las Vegas people, and it took them a while. And then I had that image, and the guy and I went back and forth with the image, and I think he finally just got sick of me. He goes, "Yeah, go ahead, use it." You know, I mean, I just wanted the T-shirt for.
I still have the T-shirt.
Yes, the opening. I can't, and I promised him, which is the truth. I'm not selling T-shirts online or the Las Vegas. There's no advertisements. There's nothing like that. It's just a T-shirt with Blaze's image. But no, there was just too many, do 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 do.
Yeah, there was a lot of
moments.
I mean, we did have a spirit in the gallery the one day, which it was Jackson,
said Gail's name.
Said Gail's name, so I think it's related to Blaze. I think Blaze is aware of this art exhibition. She has to be.
Well, she would have to be because too much stuff has happened for her not to. And like I said, I don't believe in coincidences.
I don't either.
And I don't know what yet is to come from. It's just that it's not. Just because we put it up, it's not over.
Well, I mean, we made a ripple, and that ripple can build into a tsunami. So it's the intention's out there. It's there,
Right.
And I do have a lot of people on the West Coast listen to this podcast. So.
Well, there you go. Come on down to Baltimore and see it. Because you're going to see things. Yeah. That was the really cool thing. David, through his friendship with Blaze, a lot of the things, he got first cut on, I guess, before they put them out into, the general public kind of thing. And none of these things, there's never been an exhibit on Blaze.
There hasn't been.
Right. So, yes, if you come down, a lot of the images that you're going to see on the wall of her career, or if you Google them, you're going to see those. But
she signed them. She personally touched these photos. Her spirit and energy is all throughout this art exhibition.
The family pictures you're not going to see. You're not going to see the promotional items.
You're not going to see the couch.
The gown. Yeah, the couch. Because unless you actually saw Blaze perform, I've got boas coming out the yin-yang, feathers everywhere.
Yeah, we got one of her original performing dresses that I worked some magic on.
Yes, we've got clothes, makeup, eyeglasses.
She was a Clinique girl.
Yes.
Like me.
She was a dime.
And cover girl at Maybelline.
A dime store diva.
Yes. As a true drag queen should. I always say, drag queens, it's like when you do makeup, it's like painting. I can paint with the cheapest materials. I can paint with the most expensive painting stuff. Same thing with makeup. I do better with Dollar General shit than I do with
I want to let everybody know if it is nothing better than to have your makeup done right before a gallery opening by a drag queen.
True.
Yes, because everybody told me how fabulous I look.
Yeah.
So
I gave you sparkles.
I got sparkles. I got my eyebrows done. The only thing I asked is don't go overboard because when you get old, you start to look formaldehyde.
Well, I know the tricks. Yeah. I know the tricks.
No, everybody told me that I looked, I think I looked more like I was going to a Barbie premiere than a Blaze Starr premiere.
Blaze would appreciate that. Okay, so we've been talking, this is the first part of the, we're getting into part two where we're going to go into pop culture and some stuff. So wrapping up this section, what is your favorite John Waters movie?
Oh, Pink Flamingos.
You like Pink Flamingos? That's a good one.
Because Mr. Waters was just this weird ass person from Baltimore.
Love him though. I get it.
No, but I mean, he wasn't famous. If you see that movie, the first time you see it, if you're not, it's very Baltimore, and that
Yes.
I kind of like, because that's my.
You're a very Baltimore woman.
I'm a
like
very Baltimore
we're very
girl.
Baltimore people.
Yeah, I'm a very born, my whole life. Before they took the hippo away on Charles Street.
Well, I got a whole section about that for part 2.
Oh my God, I love that place.
So we're digging into the vault of gay Baltimore
the
nightlife.
gay Baltimore, and you got to meet Cindy and Fred.
I
my
did.
kid.
I
Yes,
did.
yes,
I love it.
Yes.
So wrapping up everything, what did you take away from this? What did you learn about Blaze? What did you learn about this process?
I learned about Blaze. I learned that you don't know a person until you really try to walk in their shoes.
Yes.
You can't, if you didn't know everything about Blaze, and I'm not talking because Blaze told stories. You could read 5 different things, and there were 5 versions of those things.
The Blaze Starr persona has a
Right.
mythology behind it that Blaze
Right.
personally curated.
So when I really got to talk to her sister and got to really research, she was a full person. She was a real person. That was such a little teeny part of her life, and her strength, and how this girl's sheer determination to not to be poor anymore, but she helped her family. I mean, I don't think that you couldn't have Blaze Starr today.
You couldn't. You couldn't.
It had to be then. So that's I took away at the multi-faceted person that she was, and just I could just see her at a party holding command of the room.
Oh, totally.
Even men and women being.
She had a star power.
Right. And what did I take away from the exhibit? Be prepared to work your ass off.
Yes. Well, Blaze worked her ass off, so it's like,
Right. You're telling a story, so be aware of how you're. That's not saying that you have to also realize people are not going to go in the pattern that you want them to go. So, you could lay it out unless you did it like the Holocaust Museum where you're really moving, in a specific. That's a heavy museum. But
have you been to the actual concentration camp?
No, I can't. I can't even do. I can't even do
the thing that freaked me out about that one was and this also is at the Holocaust Museum, the nail marks in the gas chamber. That it stresses me out.
No, I can't do that. But really be aware of what story you're trying to tell.
Yes.
It's you wake up in the middle. The other thing is be very, very organized. It's a pain in the ass. It took me, I can't even tell you how many hours to try to put it in order and give everything numbers and where is it. And it drove me crazy. But I'm so glad because when you go to install, you're not paying any attention as to what box came out of what.
Yeah, you're just putting the shit up. And,
you're and then, the process of laying it on the floor and then pinning it up, moving things around. It's a whole lot harder than what I ever imagined that it would be. It's rewarding. I'm glad that I did it.
And when do you graduate?
All things considered, December.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes,
And you will have a no, not an MFA, a master's in what?
Art with a concentration in public. I mean, not art.
Oh, so you have an
history.
MF. Okay.
History with a concentration in public history. And all public history is that museum.
Yeah.
You're telling a story visually or through poetry. It's just not, it's anything that's not in a classroom.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about this exhibition was there's so many ways, even though all the stuff we have, there's so many different stories you could tell around it. And I like what we came up with for this. You spearheaded. It's we definitely focus on the celebrity of Blaze, but you get to see Fanny Bell. You get to see the lady behind
some
it.
of the things she wrote, and I get this because I have several last names, so I can relate to this. Sometimes she wrote AKA Fanny Bell Fleming, and then other times Blaze Starr, AKA Fanny Bell.
Yeah.
It was just it's just weird that there were these two distinct but equal people living inside of her, and she could turn one on and the other off.
I know why. I like that's how I am. Like, I mean,
There
you've
you go.
seen Zenobia, you've seen
Yes,
Derek.
I have. And sometimes you really do need to reel him in or her in,
Well,
whichever one
Well.
shows up first.
it was fun. All right, so let's go to part 2. Stay tuned, sit tight, because we're probably going to talk another hour about pop culture stuff. So,
Okay.
with that, where can we find you?
Where can you find me? I don't have. I want to do once the school is supposed to do a video for me, and I figure out I'm meeting my thesis advisors next week because everybody came in and kept on saying you're done, you're done. Well, what is
You got to write.
what is done?
You gotta write.
Well, I got to write, but I don't have to write the way I thought I was going to have
Yeah.
to write. It's not a traditional thesis, which is like at UMBC, it can be up to 125 pages. If you do a public, which I wanted to do a web page, it was going to be about 60. Now, I just need to take my prospectus, which was a pain in the fucking ass to do, and turn it around. Instead of saying this is what I'm going to do, you just tell them what you did, and that I really need to just write about the making of the exhibit and
Yeah.
the exhibit. And it was very interesting to hear the comments during the reception to know what we need to tweak.
Yeah.
Afterwards. So it's. I would encourage people to come down because the exhibit that you saw opening is not the exhibit that you're going to see now, and it may
Yeah.
not be the exhibit that.
Because we definitely are still tweaking it. There definitely
Yeah.
is things that
Yeah.
need, so make sure you check it out. It's at Catonsville. It's at CCBC in Catonsville, the Arts Building. Just Google it.
Right, and eventually I'm going to put this up as a web page that I hope will stay up there, and people.
And it might travel. The exhibition might travel. We can't talk much, but
Yeah,
there might be
it's-
some stuff in the works.
It's in negotiations.
Yeah. So with that, all right, guys, on to part 2. Stay tuned.